Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Notte, TCG Tentative. We're gonna be doing a little bit of overhaul here. Well, I'm your host, Notte, and today we're gonna be doing a little bit of overhaul here, as you might be seeing in our stream title. So, if we kind of take a step back and do a bit of a recap. Last episode, I think that was 3.5, we kind of said, okay, why don't we design some of the UI for the game? And turns out it's pretty good. It's pretty neat. Oh no, my volume is a little low. Let me see if I can do something about that. Is it the BGM or is it the volume? I think this is, oh yeah, that's pretty loud. That should be pretty loud. Yeah. Oh, the BGM might actually, why don't we decrease the volume for that? Yeah. Yep. As I thought. How's that? Is that a good adjustment? A-E-I-O-U? Better. Okay, I'm gonna do just a slight tick down here. Is... Okay, how are we feeling about this? Better? Better, or not so better? Can I get a yay, nay, hoocha? Alright, that's great. Better? Okay. Nice. Sweet. So, I think last episode here, we were going over, okay, how will we digitize and the game and turn it into a UI? Well, not turn it into a UI, but make a UI for it. But we're gonna scrap like half of this. And the thing here is, I gave some thought, and I realized, well, I like the concept of having a full triple layer grid, right? But if you think about it, interaction feels separated. And when I mean that, I mean you are building your own walled garden, right? You're going, hey, I have my board, I'm gonna do stuff on it. And you have your board, you're gonna do some stuff on it. And once you're done, and once we're both done, we get to compare boards, right? And it feels like the staple. That's like traditional card games, I guess, because normally you'd have like your own board and you put cards on it. Then you have your opponent would have their board and they put cards on it. But the difference here is that when I throw a card, there's a, if in like a combat step, I'd say, okay, well, if I like to interact with your cards, right? My card goes here, your card goes there, or whatnot. Are all cards and not TCG different knots? See, that's the thing. The name is definitely tentative. Not all cards are knots. That would be too presumptuous of me, I suppose. That would be the vocabulary word for it. But in our board, right? So this is combat. But in our current setup, combat is just, hey, I look at your board, you look at my board, and then maybe somewhere in the middle, right? It's like, well, okay, I play the spell card that hits a 2x2 on your grid here and blows that up while you're setting up. That's not gonna interrupt. But that's kind of different from I suppose, the more traditional, how do you call it, interaction that you get in some ways. It's a little different. I'm not sure what to make of it, but this is the big change that I'm proposing. And that is, instead of having this weird 3x3 dimensional grid that I really, really like, we're just gonna have one big fat grid, okay? And it's gonna be, say, it's like I want to say it's a 5x5. That's 4. I can't count. Yes. So yeah, it's a 5x5, right? And with this 5x5 here, we have Party A here. Party A is going to place a card down. And we can say that Party B is also going to place a card down. So it looks something like this. And we'll just be placing cards down left and right. Sort of everything is on the grid-based map, right? Which is where our title comes in play, right? It's the grid playmat. So, a common board might look something like this. I kind of like this idea a little bit better. And the way things will happen here is, let's say we take a blue. That's not a good blue for this situation. Something maybe brighter. Yes. No, that blends in too much. Get a little bit more saturation. Yeah, I think that's good. There. So the idea here is that we'll still have the arrows from our cards, right? And then we'll have cards with, different arrow setups here. Something like this. Right? And what we'll see here is that if I grab I guess we want, maybe let's grab like a purple. Or drawing one. Yeah, but that doesn't look, that's not good at all. I'll just use white here. What you'll see here is that these cards now have a complete and visual direction, right? You can actually see what card is interacting with what card with, just by these arrows here. And that looks satisfying, right? That looks satisfying. It's a lot better than going, hey, I have my box, you have your terrarium, and we'll just kind of throw them at each other when we're done. No, this is a little bit different now. Because what I'm thinking here is, let's say red player goes first, and we take the center spot. And then green player gets to go second, right? So green player will then play their card. But okay, well, you played this card. I'll go ahead and counter it with my green. And then red player says, okay, I'll bolster my one with card number 3. So now these are connected, so they help each other out, right? And because these are opposing cards and they point at each other, they are going to they will do negative interactions with each other. And so it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and dump my second card green against this. So now you are getting two-pronged, and so red player's like, okay, well, I will go ahead and combat that with this. And then green player says, alright, well, in response, I will play card number 6 here. Oh. Cards with special movements and interactions, or cards that immune effects from directions. Yeah, definitely. We both have abilities like relocation. So it's like, well, okay, well, this guy is kind of in a bad spot. I think I'll move it over. At a certain cost, I'll just kind of relocate down somewhere over here, or maybe just drag it to the other side of the board. Something like that, yeah. Then immunity from directions or effects. I don't want to say we jump to immunity straight up, but that is very much an option. So maybe we have a card that says, hey, it can only be interacted where it has an arrow, and that gives it a very, very strong privilege in terms of how you interact with it. But I feel like that is sort of an antithesis to part of the game design, in that I want these arrows and these cards to be interactable, right? So maybe there is a way, it's like, I don't know, hold the line of defensive maneuvers, where it's like, well, okay, this card in particular is more of a shielder, and the shielder trait says, hey, you only interact in this direction, right? Any card that points to this, that does not point to this direction, is protected or whatnot. It really depends, but I feel like a better approach for something like a shielder would to be, say, hey, the ally you are pointing to gets +2 to defense, right? And then suddenly you are tilting the scales in that direction, and so instead of making interaction more difficult, I want to make it easier and incentivize it, right? So I think that's the design we are trying to aim for. Of course, here, with this sort of deal, that means, where was I going with this? Right. With this sort of deal, we are still going to see things like what I've mentioned before in past streams. You play a card, your opponent plays a card, right? And then if you don't play a card, then if your opponent doesn't play a card, then you resolve things. So there's still a combat setting where everything resolves here, right? And then there are still cards that you can play in the middle, right? They're like instant speed spells or interrupts or whatnot that can say, okay, well, first of all, I nuke part of your board, right? It's like I throw maybe like and things get interesting, right? Things get interesting because you can say, okay, I'm going to drop a 2x2 nuke. Right? Say you're like at your red player and you see all this going on, right? Oh, this is bad. And so you say, well, okay, I'm going to play the fireball spell, and the fireball spell nukes this 2x2, right? And by nuking this 2x2, we actually damage this card, but we also damage our own card right here, which is perfectly fine. It's a 2-for-1 exchange. I mean, if you think about it, it's a 2-for-2 exchange because you're using one of your cards, right, to remove 2 of your opponent's cards, and you also end up losing another one of your own cards. It's a good exchange nonetheless, because now you have unit tactical advantage, right? Something like that. So those will still exist, but now you have the issue of collateral damage, which I feel like is a lot cooler, right? And you can also have cards that say, hey, prevent collateral spell damage or whatnot, and it's like suddenly like, oh wait, this is really good. There's card synergy going on here. Now my opponent has to fear surrounding one of my units because they can just set a fireball in their own grid and they won't be affected. Cards like those, right? And the nice part about that is that it becomes projected. Because now what you're seeing here is you see what your opponent's doing. That's like a chain reaction, right? So, I play card 1, and my opponent is, in response, they're like, okay, well, I'm gonna play card 2, which kind of fights card 1 and beats card 1, right? And you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna play card 3, and card 3 helps boost card 1, so that card 2 does not beat card 1. And it keeps on growing, and I like that. And at the end, once both players have ran out of resources, you sort of resolve that chain loop. And I feel like this sort of interaction does, it does definitely feel like we are stealing Yu-Gi-Oh! But because modern Yu-Gi-Oh! If you've ever played modern Yu-Gi-Oh! You have these things called chain links. And it's when somebody plays a card, and then you get like, your funny chain, and then somebody plays in response like a fast, quick reaction card, right? And that becomes another chain, and then somebody says, wait, you go, wait, no, you, and then you chain that. So how this resolves is card 3 resolves first, right? So it's like, okay, well, card 2 actually didn't happen, right? Because card 2 says card 1 actually didn't happen. So card 3 helps you remove card 2 from the pool. And so now all that's left is card 1, right? So these go away effectively, and you're good to go. In a sense, this kind of steals from that idea in that the whole board set up being turn-based, but still like you play a card, I play a card, is still a chain reaction, right? And that, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. The only problem here is that saying, hey, I play an explosion on your 2x2 grid, does that resolve immediately? Or does that happen during the game, right, during combat resolution? And I think, to make things simple, we're gonna say this explosion happens during the combat resolution. So there's gonna be a resolution phase, and that's when all cards are resolved. So you still have to keep in mind that somebody threw a fireball in here, which means maybe I might just say, hey, toss this card right in the middle here, so we know that you played it right. The other option is, immediately removing the cards there, but I kind of don't like that. I like that it's all there for you to look at, and you're like, oh, holy smokes. The other option here is maybe it's like a loaded shotgun that you don't know is about to blow, right? So maybe say you load your 2x2 fireball, right? It's gonna come, it's gonna start flaming, right? And your opponent is like, okay, well, I don't know where you're gonna target it, right? Not yet anyway. That happens on resolution. So then they're kind of playing the guessing game, or rather, you get a little bit of future sight. And you're like, okay, well, if my opponent is playing a fireball, I don't know where it lands, what do I do? And, well, your best bet is to sort of engineer a situation where that fireball, therefore, doesn't hurt you as much. So, say you're red player, you play fireball, then green player here is like, okay, well, now I see this is a little bit of a problem, but I can, if I wanted to play more cards, green players may be like, okay, well, we could probably place a card here, no problem, and then maybe place a card here, no problem. Maybe, actually, that's probably a bad place. Or place a card here, or place a card here. I don't know, or maybe you're like, okay, well, whatever. 2x2 is kind of nasty. I'll just draw something in the corner here and hope it survives for the next round, right? Something like that. So there's a lot of things you can do in response to that. So that's a thing that could be considered. And I suppose that also depends on how the card operates, right? Maybe it says, target grid zone. And that means you have to declare your target. But if it doesn't say target grid zone, then it's like, it's up in the air until it resolves or something. I don't know. Semantics, but we wanna make sure that doesn't get too confusing, so I'll see what I can do on that end to make sure most cards end up operating the same, if you will, in terms of how ruling happens. So with this in mind, right, we still have, we still have our attack, our defense, right, and our speed. We still have those stats. So those are still in business. And so most of what we've discussed remains, I want to say, pretty consistent all around. The main thing here is that I think part of resolution might be that upon resolution, right, links happen and combat happens where if your card is pointing to a card, right, to an opponent's card, they make that exchange, so they fight. Now this is interesting, right? We have this case here where it's like, hold on, you are pointing to two creatures, right? But two creatures are pointing to you. So what I think happens here is you get the benefit of applying your full damage to both of them. Just to make things simple, right? So this is basically what grids you interact with, right? You apply the full bonus or full damage or full effect to every card you point to, right? Say if I had like a buff unit that had an arrow that was pointing to, I don't know, the top 3 here or something, right? This way, it's like, well, if I say this is like a +2 attack, well, I can't say, I divide my +1 here and I divide a +1 here. No, all cards that this points to will get that +2. Nice and easy, right? Straightforward. I feel like that's the best way to go about it. So in combat, if you think about the same thing, then that means, when we look at it like this, for damage, right, that would be a -4, -4, -4, something like that, right? That would be 4 damage across the board, wherever it points to. So that's something that we probably want to have and keep in mind. Not stream. Yes. Not stream. Not this. That's definitely something that I think is a good approach. So that streamlines things quite well, I feel. Let's see. What else do we have? We have... What other things are on the list of interesting things to talk about? Right. Okay. So, now we have things like a player life points, right? So, let's say you have HP 20 here. Well, let's say both sides have 20 HP, right? And how do we resolve, right? What unit... Well, how a player takes damage. And I think the key to that here is what unit is left that is not interacting with an enemy unit. So a good example is, say, hey, we dropped this card right here, and this card is called number 7. Say we had number 7 here. Number 7, I don't know, just point into the void, right? And it's not touching anything. So what happens here? Well, number 7, therefore, hits your opponent, right? Straight to the face. It hits face. It goes to face. But if it has an enemy interaction, say, can I get green? Yeah. Okay, so it has a green unit in its face, right? Then it's like, okay, well, I have to take care of this first, right? And that's just the way it goes. But here's the neat thing. On resolution, right? Cards resolve according to their speed. Okay? Which means if you remove the card that another card was supposed to interact with before it gets to interact with it. If it has no targets, it's gonna swing with face, and we can use this here, this as another good example, right? So let's say 1 has a speed of 3, 4 has a speed of 2, and 5 has a speed of 1. This is very interesting because 1 gets to swing at both 2 and 4. And let's say 1 actually does a good job of swinging at 4 and ends up removing it entirely, okay? Now then, that's speed 3 resolution. Now, if we look at speed 2, well, nothing happens here because this thing is gone now. But now we can look at, after we do speed 2, we can look at speed 1 resolutions. And so now we suddenly see, hey, we don't have a card here to fight against anymore. I can just swing to head, right? I can go ahead and smack that guy right up. I think I like that design a lot. That speed is a very, very core lever in our game, right? Great use right here. So the whole point is you want to just remove. So there is now this is the neat part. Now there is a use for slow speed units that are heavy hitting now, right? You're like, oh wait, I can just read these guys here and then have a high speed unit go ahead and remove some card that would have interacted with my slow speed card. It's great. I really like this. I really like this approach right here. This is very neat. Oh, and another thing here is, if you think about it, right? Your opponent is playing or is sitting on the other side of you, which is kind of funny now that I think about it. Because that means they are looking at cards in the opposite direction that you are, which means that the card arrows will actually be mirrored. So your card that points upwards, right? And if they have the same card, you know, it would be pointing downwards like this. Which means that you get some neat interactions where you have the same type of cards clashing with each other like this. And I like that a lot. I like that a lot. So this is kind of how it looks, right? This is, in their perspective, this is up. This is mirrored, right? And from you, this would be like that. So, oh, I mean, if I'm running in green, I guess, this would be upside down, right? And then in response, they play their card, something like that. Right? That's kind of neat. I like this a lot. So you are pointing at each other, so it's like, it's very much, you know, a duel in that sense. Sitting across each other instead of setting up your own cubes, right? This looks a lot better. I like this. This seems a lot cleaner. I'm very happy with the way this is being approached. Now, then the question becomes, well, okay, we have like a nicer grid system. What happens to all like the 3-dimensional stuff? And unfortunately, we're gonna have to scrap that. That's the sad part. I like the idea of moving up phases, right? But in this case, cards are not as temporal, unfortunately. And that definitely hurts in, I guess, game design wise, where it's like, well, a card at most stays on the board for 3 turns, right? And it becomes a little bit more elusive and harder hitting because you have to do things around it. In this case, I feel like cards can be ignored, but that's very detrimental to you, right? So in a way, this operates kind of more like a game of, I don't know, Go, right? It sort of is like a game of Go, where you are dropping, you are dropping your black token or white tokens, and then your opponent is like, well, okay, well, I gotta capture that, so I'm gonna place this. You're like, wait, what if I just started to build another problem on the other side? And then your opponent's like, oh shoot, what is he doing? I gotta maybe do something about that, or I can start building my own setup here. Something like that. I think that's very, very neat. I like that approach a lot. Where did the grid go? Here, yeah, here's the grid. Was I drawing on that thing this entire time? Oh, it was okay, yeah. Let's keep it that way, yeah. Yes. Yes. Is there anything else? Well, we still have the E-Tank, right? There's a resource system that we have to test out. There's a problem with, I guess, the card archetypes, because the problem with archetypes, right, is that if you set up an archetype and you build around it, say like the slime archetype, then you're asking yourself, well, how does that fit into any other deck? And most of the time the answer is, well, it doesn't. Slime cards have synergies with slimes in particular, and you cannot play a slime card with anything else without getting a brick in your hand, right? It's like, okay, well, I have slime here, and I have, you know, a slime here, right, in my hand. But if I have, I don't know, if I'm also playing like dragons, suddenly it's like, oh no, where is my synergy? If I play my dragon card and suddenly I have a slime card, that's not helping me, right? It's like, okay, where do we go from here, right? Because, you know, maybe slimes, you know, most likely we're gonna have specific effects that say, hey, you know, maybe slimes bolster other slimes. And I approached it that way in our previous card design, where it's like, slimes bolster other slime cards that they point to and whatnot. I think I was a little bit more lenient. I made it a little bit more generic, and it was like any card that it points to or something, or like any card that has like a lower base power or whatever. I don't remember quite what I did, but if it was generic enough, yes, you could play it. You could do something around that. Now then. The problem then becomes, right, it's like, well, okay, if I ever want to play a slime deck, I'm locked into slimes only. And well, yes, if I print out enough slime cards that have synergy with each other, you might as well do that. But then the problem becomes, what's the point of, you know, side decking, well, decking in or sliding in, you know, a dragon card into your slimes, or your slime into a dragon deck, right? And it's just, I don't know how to feel about that, because the other way we can approach this is more like Magic the Gathering. But right now we are in Yu-Gi-Oh land. We are really, really deep in Yu-Gi-Oh land. Magic the Gathering says, hey, you know, you get a specific color. Well, let's say you're red, and you're also red. So red slimes, right, with a red dragon. And simply because they're all under the same color, you know, you can all play them, and they all follow some sort of red specific archetype. Like, hey, slimes, you know, they are the bolster, right? They are the ally, they are the strength in numbers card, right? So these are the strength in numbers cards. And then you have the dragon, which is the one big fighter, right? And you're like, okay, well, how does this work? Well, now suddenly it makes sense that I can play slimes and dragons together, right? And, or, I mean, maybe like that, I guess that doesn't help us explain things as well. Maybe it's like, slimes are green, right? Slimes are green, right? And then our dragon is red, right? And so, these are our strength in numbers, this is our one big fighter, right? And maybe our red color is the power of one big fighter. Which is like, I know that's like completely different from Magic, because Magic has greens as your one big fighter and red as your strength in numbers. But, you know, the idea here is that, oh well, now it's like there's a clear difference in our color, which probably means that their synergy gets a little bit more complex, right? It also says, oh, well, I probably need a different resource to get this thing out. In that sense, it's like you need dragon colored energy to get dragon powers out. Stuff like that. Well, Pokemon takes that to its extreme, because Pokemon says we have like 8 different types, which is already condensed from, I don't know, there's 16, 17, or was it 18 now? I don't know. But they condensed a bunch of types into one color, and they still have like 8 of them, or 9 of them. I don't know what where the TCG is, right? But they have so many different colors, and each color embodies like a different playstyle already. Which is really, really neat, but that's too much for me. In a sense, we could go that route. We could say this is like a slime energy, right? It requires slime energy, and this requires dragon energy, right? And it's like, well, okay, then I can still combine the two, right? I can do a slime and dragon type deck, where I accumulate those slime and dragon type energies, which I'm not against. I think that might be the way to go. If you think about how our energy tank system works right now, we're thinking about, well, do we just give them some empty tank, or do we lock them into some archetype entirely, right? Turn it into, Shadowverse. Because Shadowverse just says, oh, well, these are completely different archetypes, so you don't even get to play them together, right? You don't even have the option to do that. If you play slimes, you play slimes. You know what? We're kind of nice. So maybe you get fairies as well, right? Something like that. It's like, oh, well, dragons also get, I don't know, octopi, right? So they get octopi or something. It's like, yeah, you can be happy with that. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know what's going on, but I can at least have a pull. It's like I know what pulls of cards I have. And if there's like a big discrepancy between 2 cards, maybe it's like, okay, well, we can afford to design a card that's a silver bullet to some archetype or something. I don't know. The problem becomes it's like rock, paper, scissors type of games. I don't know how I feel about that in terms of like archetypes. So I kind of want to say it's better to keep things in a pool where it's like generic enough that you can just throw a pile of the same kind of color and everything works. I find that's a decent philosophy. That actually lowers the skill level. It's entry level, right? It's like, well, okay, I can throw in all my greens. That's a red, okay, I don't want to throw that in there. Let me throw in another green card, right? Things like that. RPG archetypes have been done to death. But I like them though. I like my RPG archetypes. What can I say? I love my human male fighters. I love my spellcasting wizards. Oh, you mean rock paper scissors? Sorry, I'm RPG brain rotted. I read that as RPG. Sorry, you said RPS, rock paper scissors. My apologies. Oh my gosh. Rock paper scissors archetypes. I pretty think I want the rock paper scissors card to be just like, high attack. Attack beats defense, right? And defense beats speed. This is already our archetype. This is already our rock paper scissors setup. And speed beats attack, right? That's how it works. We already have our trifecta of stats, if you recall, right? And this is already our mini game of rock, paper, scissors. Because if you have a high enough speed, right, it doesn't matter what your attack is. If your attack is high enough to cover over the defense, then you're cooked. If your defense is high enough to, block the speed, then well, yeah, if your defense is high enough, it doesn't matter what your speed is. You know, you're gonna hit them and nothing's gonna happen. If your speed is high enough, then it doesn't matter what your opponent's attack is if they can't get a hit on you. You know, things like that. So we already have a little bit of rock paper scissors in our stats going on. That's already more than enough, honestly. Everything else from here is basically flavor, in that sense. If we think about building from the rock paper scissors, also strength in numbers too. What else do we have here? What else we have? Right. Go back, roll back a little bit. Yeah, we were talking about colors. So I don't know. It's like, do I want like an RGBY? Rainbow. Do I want the colors of rainbow in my game? That's the question. Or do I just want to say, hey, do whatever, right? You can throw in any card you want in your deck, it will work, right? Any card in your deck will work. I don't know how I feel about that, because if you're able to throw any card in your deck, right, you are risking, what I like to say is a very homogeneous kind of setup, right? Now it becomes, I think, okay, that does question, because that I guess that's not too bad, because then it becomes a game of what mechanics are you using, right? Because maybe there's a type of deck that says, hey, I want to burn your life points directly, or I want to play one big monster, and it doesn't matter what one big monster is, you just play that. I guess the problem is that it's like, well, if we had like different colors, we could give them each their one big monster, right? And you would have to, you know, choose between which of that you can play. If we had, you know, an archetype for a swarm of monsters, right? Strength in numbers kinds of deals. It doesn't just have to be the same strength in numbers archetype, right? You could have red slimes and green slimes, rainbow slimes, or whatever. You know, I kind of like that idea. So I think we will actually go for colors. We will actually go for colors. Which is, I don't know. I'm not sure if I like that layer of complexity, but it's definitely better than saying, you have this specific archetype, and you can only play a deck with those cards in it, and some side generics that are just good. Rather than that, we can just give it a color identity and call it a day. Do we want the mirror magic color identity? Maybe. But then I guess the problem is how we're gonna accumulate that, you know, specific kind of resource, right? No, because remember, where were we? We were talking about the E-tank earlier somewhere, right? It was in here somewhere. Why is this whole well, yeah, we have the E-tank. Yeah, color limitations are cool if it fits the idea of the color. Yeah, for sure. You just have to make specific archetypes work, like the specific themes work, right? I don't want to say like there's like factions in particular though. So maybe instead of having a color, maybe we have like a specific type of. We want different categories, I think. Maybe it's something like monster. Well, not monster. Maybe it's like a beast, spirit, humanoid, or just human. Now these kind of sound like archetypes already, right? Technology, I don't know. And then soul or something. And then you would just say, okay, well, if I had a human knight, that would be... Yeah, if I had a knight, right? Let's draw that out. It'd be like, okay, that's like maybe a combination of spirit and human. If you want to do a stretch, it's like soul too, I think. Something like that. And then if I had like a slime here, we could just call it, I don't know, spirit. Or maybe beast. Right? And we would have like a beast archetype. Maybe dragon would fit in the beast. Or we would say, instead of soul, maybe it's like magic. Which, I mean, if you think about it, this is sort of, you know, this is like sort of like red. And then this might be like black or something. Oh no, this is blue, this is white. This is obviously not green though. Maybe this is green. Oh no. Oh no. But you can sort of see like it's, I don't know, magic is like a very good method of categorizing their colors that it's like it's hard to not steal or be inspired from it. So maybe we might do something like this. I don't know. This actually goes back to part of like the early days of brainstorming for this thing. But that's still there on the table. I don't know though. What shapes instead of colors? Like the triangle faction, the circle faction, the square faction. Oh my goodness. That is hilarious. I love that. I love that idea. That's so silly actually. That makes so much sense. You know, yeah. Slimes are circles. You know what? This dragon can go into the square. This dragon goes into the square door. I got dorked like what? How long has it been? I got dorked. Oh wow, an hour in. Oh man. You're late, dork. You know, I kinda like the idea of sides here. I don't know, what if we had like this is a one side, infinite side, four side. Do I want a pentagon? Maybe. That's a little more difficult to draw, but we can have a pentagon faction as well. Maybe the dragon is part of the pentagon faction or something, right? Actually, no. It makes more sense for like a human knight to be part of the pentagon faction. Or maybe it's I don't know, you could throw it anywhere, honestly. It really depends on the abilities. Well, whatever the case is, we have options of trying to figure out a way to categorize our cards. But I think that might come afterwards. That is something I can put aside right now. If I want to get the game going, we have all we need. Right? We have our grid. We have our mechanics that I just explained. And then we still have everything else. We have our attack, our defense, our speed, right? We have the triangle there. Then we have the card that we should be making. We have their effects going. None of that has really changed except, right? And we still have the arrows pointing to each other, right? Those rules are all the same. We still have our framework. It's just that we've changed up our grid for the most part. Right. So with that, we can build something, and then we can say, well, okay, now that we have a working system, how do we categorize the cards that we made? I don't know. I do want to. I just feel like if I just released an archetype, things would be a lot easier, right? Like, I don't have to care about anything other than the cards in this pool. And if I ever come up with like a cool group of cards that tell a story or whatever, I can just say, these are part of this set. Now the problem then becomes, it's like, well, what if I want to combine two sets, right? And suddenly we have a problem. Because, well, you can't do that unless you create a new archetype that's the combination of the two sets and reprint all the cards in that set. And you've seen this actually happen before with, what was it, Vanguard card fight and the Royal Paladins. The sub-factions merged and we got like Golden Paladins. I was like, okay, that's kind of silly, but okay. I don't, it's hard. I want something similar to colors though. I do feel like that is a way in deck building. That's the way you go in deck building. Because if you don't do that, if we don't have specific colors or specific categories, then every deck built off a mechanic will end up being optimized almost the same way, right? If slime is the best strength in numbers cards, and we introduce to you, like I don't know, maybe fairies are also a strength in numbers cards, right? So it's like, okay, well, between slimes and fairies, which is better? And it's like, well, slimes are the better strength in numbers cards. It's like, well, alright, well, we're all gonna play slimes, right? And then maybe there's just one really good fairy card that we'll also slide in with our slime deck. It's still strength in numbers, right? It's like, it operates the same. But your flavor gets a little bit more stunted. And maybe it's the opposite. It's like, well, okay, we first printed out slimes, and then we printed out fairies, and fairies becomes the new de facto strength in numbers because of power creep. It's just numerically better. It's got a better advantage. Oh, so there's that does become a problem, right? That's something I do want to or avoid big time. Yeah. Well, what we could do is we could say, hey, if you want to play green, or something, yes, green gets you your stars, right? And if you wanted to play on the pink faction, right? The pink faction gives you all the fairies. It's like, which is arguably better? It's like, okay, well, you could say green slimes are better because the green archetype also comes with some other staples like the green dragon, right? And the green dragon does this really cool thing that really accelerates your win condition, right? Like, I don't know, it's big and stompy, it's the big green dragon, right? It kicks butt, and it's like, well, okay, well, you know what? Our fairies have this charm spell, right? It's the Uno reverse spell. And you know what this does? This actually gets you to take control of a big creature your opponent controls, right? For this round, it is under our control, right? So it is our ally, it buffs us. And that is a huge game-changing card. And some people are like, okay, well, do I play the Strength in Numbers deck that can also get me big monsters? Or do I play the Strength in Numbers deck that can potentially turn around a core card on my opponent's field? It's, and the nice part here is that, well, I can't play both of them, right? Unless, of course, you do your mixed colors, like you can play a green and pink deck. And it's like, well, okay, that's okay. That works too, right? But then you're throwing out the opportunity cost to maybe play other spells, right? Well, other cards, like the cool blue card that says, oh, well, I get to throw Fireball at you, right? No, maybe that's more like a red card, right? It's like, oh, I get to throw Fireball at you, or I get to play Meteor, right? And that wipes the entire board. It's like, well, you don't get to play this card unless you do green, pink, and red, but then you're stretching yourself thin there, and it's like, well, are you sure this deck is gonna work? And you kind of look at your opponent in the eye and say, I either win in an incredible fashion because I have answers to all your cards, or I lose because I break. It's that sort of thing. And I think that is perfectly fine. I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. And the point is, we do need a color, right? We do need a color. And you can therefore make your arguments and say, wait, this card is actually better, or whatever. well, not this card. Well, I mean, this archetype is arguably better, but it's not completely objective, right? It's very much a subjective choice, and it gives you flavor in your playstyle. So we need colors. That's the whole point. Or we need a category. I need a category. Just a form of categorization that is not 100% homogeneous, but it is generic enough to slot in a bunch of cards of different types while maintaining an identity. We'll work with that. Honestly, I don't mind stealing. I really don't. I might just do that. I mean, what was it? There was this one fresh, well, not exactly fresh, but it's relatively new, made by, well, it was, Will of Force, right? Yeah, it was Will of Force. Will of Force also uses colors. I think it's got yellow going for it, and purple, which is, I think that's the equivalent of white and black. You know, instead of having white and black directly, they have yellow and purple instead, which, I mean, that makes sense, right? Light and dark, except it's more like order and chaos. I mean, the classic. I kind of like that. I might steal that too. I might steal colors. I think, what was it? I know the Digimon TCG also has colors too, right? And those, fun enough, right? Those are actually more relevant to a Digimon element. So you're actually playing, I don't know, like light and dark decks, or fire decks, or wind decks. Right? Was it the wind type? Yeah, wind decks, right? Or ice decks. Or electricity, lightning decks, right? That sort of thing. Or plant decks. Yeah. Stuff like that. Yeah. But the neat part here is that you had core cards that were like dual cards, and instead of saying, hey, you're locked into one color, it's like saying, hey, you start at one color, but with these cards you can pivot into a different color. It's a more interesting approach to it, but usually, you end up building one color, right? You still do that. Maybe your Digimon, your final Digimon or something, or some of your intermediary Digimon has a mixed color of sorts. So maybe you get a Tekken, some sort of side card of a different color that helps you progress your WinCon or act as an answer to some tricky opponent's build, right? But for the most part, you end up building up your tree into your boss monster that is more or less like, a one color straight line. Something like that, which makes sense. So there's that to consider as well. I do like the sound of that. I like the sound of just having some sort of color identity. I might actually just make an element, honestly. I know, you remember how Yu had elements? They had elements. I'm not kidding. They had elements on the top left, right corner. It's fire, earth, water, wind, light, dark, or something. They never really used it to. No, actually, they did, and they even designed decks according to the types, right? It's just that they never reinforced that and spells too. It's just that they never reinforced the idea of you needing to have a deck with that element and that element only. It's so neat. Not nowadays. I mean, they still work around with the element. It's like, well, yeah, you banish a light or a dark. But they also have this really weird skew of putting out more light and dark type cards than anything else. It is what it is, yeah. I mean, especially dark. Dark is such a prolific type in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's crazy. Well, at least maybe in modern days. Yeah. So, color identity, maybe we can work with elements instead. And you would have to generate the proper elemental type. Now, this puts us in a very interesting position where it's like, okay, well, we have different types of slum cards or whatnot. Like, well, how do you summon out, one of this element? And you could be like, well, okay, actually, no, that makes so much more sense. You know, this actually, no, this is great. This is great. This also embraces the RPG, like the JRPG energy, right? We don't have colors. We have outright elements, right? Like we have a neutral element, which gets us most of our standard default, you know, fighters or warriors. They're static, they're generic. You can toss them in almost any deck. That's fine. We have the earth element or whatever. You know, you summon plants with those, you can get slimes with those, you can get ecological bugs or whatnot, right? That's cool. Maybe we can have the air element, right? Okay, maybe that's what gives you bugs, that's what also gives you birds, right? Oh, that's so cool, that's so cool. And you can have like the, you know, the flying, well, the air and the dark type, right? We have the darkness element, and that gets us, you know, our evil insects. Maybe you have like the neutral type and then you have like the electricity element there. Or, well, actually, no, maybe, yeah, then you can combine the elements too. Oh, you know, this makes so much more sense. Forget about colors. We are going full elementals. You know, we will have our fire, we will have water, we will have earth, we will have wind. Let's just, yeah, earth and wind, right? We have light, we have dark. That's 6, right? You know what? Let's give ourselves ice and electricity too. Let's call it lightning, or maybe we call it electricity. No, I don't know. It's like, do we call it lightning or electricity? That's a hard one. I mean, both have an E, but we already have 2 W's though. It's like L. It's like, is it light or is it lightning? You know, that's, yeah. Electric. Let's copy. Let's call it electric. Yeah, let's call it electric type. Let's copy off a Pokemon for this one. Yeah. Yeah, this works really nicely, I think. I really like this. I really like this. We are, in a sense, this was also one of our options, I think. It's just that I ended up pivoting back to this at the very end of the day. Yeah. Yeah, this works. I like this. This is great. This is great. This makes so much more sense, guys. You don't understand. This is beautiful. This makes so much more sense. We are so back in JRPG land. Oh yeah, and also we have neutral. Yes. Yeah. Oh, it's all coming together. Yes. So we did have to create these elemental nodes, right? We have to generate the right element type. How do you do that then? I don't know. Because right now we have an energy tank. All we have is this E tank. That just stores like 10 units. 10 units of E. It's like 10E. What is 10E? Well, just any type of energy, right? But how do we accumulate energy then? A really good question. I have no clue right now. Maybe I might build on top of that right now. You know, maybe we can address that right now. Yeah. One of the options, what was it? It was like Duel Masters, was it? It was like, okay, if you have this brick in your hand, it's not actually a brick. You can just use it as a land, right? I think something similar to that. It's just a monster also operated as a land, or just any card really operated as a generator for that energy type. And in a sense, you know, that, in a way, that makes sense for us too. It's like, what? Well, okay, I drew into this really big monster that I can't play until turn 5. I might as well throw it into my energy bin and use it as energy generation instead. So maybe it works kind of like that. You can just use it as a land, right? It goes into your energy tank. I think we talked about this as one of our options before, and I think I kind of like it. This is good. This works. This is fine. The problem here is that we will have kind of slow play very early on, right? Like, well, okay, I sack a card from my hand, and then it becomes energy for us. Then I draw one. No, sorry. I'll play a 1 power or a 1 cost unit of that element type, and that's all I'm gonna do. It feels kind of boring, right? It's like it's not until turn 5 that you get to actually do some of your chain cards. Because it's like, okay, I play a card, I play a 1 power, sorry, not a 1 power, it's like a 1 cost, I play another 1 cost, I play a 3 cost right as a finisher. It's like, oh shoot, okay, how do I respond to this, right? It's like, well, there's that as well, right? But early on, it's like, okay, well, I play another 1 cost, and your opponent's like, okay, I play another 1 cost. Okay, they fight and they both die. It's like, okay, I play a 2 cost, okay, I play another 2 costs. It's like, okay, well, they fight and they die. Or it's like, okay, well, they're completely doing their own thing. Both of them are gonna hit face, right? We're gonna chip each other for damage. And that's it. That's it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, the nice part is that there's sort of an incentive to just kind of keep these cards, kind of building up in a chain in a way. And then once they meet, things spiral out of control, but it is too slow. That is my problem. My problem is that it is too darn slow. I want to be able to just kind of play 5 cards at a time, right? Have this really deep back and forth that takes a little bit of resolution happening, right? Not just, oh, well, I get a creature, you get a creature, and then we kind of poke at each other, right? For like the first 4 turns, that's all you do, and then you run out of cards. That's not what I'm here for. So, and it also perpetuates the problem. Hey, I actually need to draw 2 because, or to play on Kirk, or else I'll actually run out of resources. There's also that issue. But in this game, where you're sort of incentivized to actually play multiple cards each turn, you run out of resources quickly if you don't have any draw power or anything. So, draw power, therefore, becomes the question of whether, hey, do I want draw power within a turn, or do I want draw power at the end of a turn, right? Okay, you have a maximum hand size of 7, and you're incentivized to maybe throw out a bunch of your cards, and then you just draw back 7 cards if you play all 7, right? You refresh your entire hand that way. Something like that. Or maybe it's like a, if you drew 7 cards and you only played 1, you throw away the 6 into the energy tank. And so you have 6 extra left over energy that you can play for the next turn. Wait. That actually sounds really good. So, refresh. What if we did that? What if we said, hey, if you are a deck that plays one single big guy per turn and takes up all 10 of your energy units, we will let you just toss all of that away, right? And save up for your next turn, in which you might be able to play 2 big monsters instead. Or maybe it's like, if you do the math right, on your 3rd turn, that's when you get 2 big monsters, and that's when your opponent gets to start sweating really badly, right? I kind of like it. I like that. Cards as resources get kind of iffy though. But this at least makes a little bit of sense. It's like, what am I gonna do with these 2 cards if I can't hold them in my hand, right? If I can't keep them. Or maybe you do keep them. And, I don't know, discard as many cards as you want, and then draw up to your hand size. That honestly sounds like a really good way of keeping your actions filled. Alright. Maybe you do have a good card that you drew into that you want to save, so you don't throw that into the E-tank. That's a neat way of doing it. And maybe the E-tank might be, I don't know, a little bit more generous. Say I draw 7 cards and the E-tank is colorless. So at the start of every match, right, you get to go, okay, well, I'm gonna discard, or I'm gonna throw maybe like a fire type card into the E-tank. And now my E-tank is filled with fire, at 10 points of fire now, or something. I don't know. Maybe. It's an interesting thing to think about. But for now, oh gosh, yeah, how do I want to do this actually? This, it can't be a but for now, it has to be a, how do we want to generate our resource? Because cards is a resource, and I feel like with this type of games approach, you will need to fully refresh your hand every turn if you are able to play 2 or 3 cards, right? It's like, well, by turn 7, by turn 3, you're gonna be out of cards, right? Like, wait, so, yeah, it's like, okay, I played like 4 cards this turn, or like, I played like 3 cards this turn. You'd be out of gas really, really fast, is what I want to say. But at the same time, it's like, is that really a bad thing? But then you realize, wait, that is a bad thing, because that means the first 10 cards you draw into make up the entire game, and that is not what you want to see, right? That's not what I want to see. I want to see cards getting cycled around. I want to see you build the whole deck. Let's look at least, let's look through like half your deck at least, something like that. Maybe, yeah, I like that. Okay. So then that begs the question: how do we generate this energy? Ah, gosh, yeah, that's a little rough. That is a little rough. Okay. This is going to sound maybe really bad here, okay? But what if you just had a balanced energy tank, right? Look at all these elements we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? So, if, say, you declare your deck type beforehand. And you're like, okay, I am playing a fire-water deck, right? And so your energy tank is made out of 5 and 5. 5 fire and 5 water. Or maybe you declare it beforehand, right? Like, my energy tank will always recover 5 water and 5 fire, right? Or you could say, okay, I have a 6-4 ratio deck with fire and water, so my energy tank is specifically designed to reproduce 6 fire and 4 water. Bingo! I like that idea. And so you get to keep track, like, okay, well, you choose your types. Choose types. And quantity. And this means for rainbow decks, we have a problem where it's like, wait, I need 1 of every element and what else, right? It's like, what can we even do with 1 of every element, right? Like, from the get-go, you can play anything. But, here, this is the cool part. This, if you spread it, oh my gosh, it makes so much sense now. It's like, if you spread yourself this thin, right? You can only play card types that are of 1 fire, right? let's say this is a 1F. Let's say this is a 1 fire, and then following your Magic the Gathering kind of syntax here, it's like 3 of any other color, right? You can play this card, but suddenly as a rainbow player, you fear this. You fear the 2 fire. You fear the 2 fire card. It's like you cannot play this because you only declared like one fire element, right? It's like, oh shoot, well my tank doesn't support those types of cards. Unless of course, because you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you do have 2 spots left over. So maybe you're more of a fire heavy deck and you say, okay, well I have 3 fire and 1 of everything else. So now these are okay, right? But then you're also locking yourself out of the big and strong, like, exclusive spells that are like 4 fire or whatever, like 5 fire, right? So you have like a whole bunch of fire. Suddenly it's like, okay, well this is huge, right? How do I play these? And I guess the other thing here is then like what are these like 5-cost cards supposed to be doing? Right? Why are they specifically this element type? Because if you're locking it all the way down here, then suddenly this makes a lot more sense, right? Because maybe most decks actually will run 4 of one element and 4 of another element, and then 2, and then 1 of a different element and 1 of a different element, so they cover some edge case cards, right? While having 2 big elemental types. And therefore, this makes mono spells kind of, I don't know, it makes mono spells kind of hard to design, but it also makes their payoff really, really good, right? It's like the in-archetype ultimate spell, if you think about it, right? If you go all in one branch or one element, this is your boon, this is your benefit, right? You get to summon the big dragon or whatever, or you get to summon, right, yeah, you get to summon the big fire dragon. It takes up all your fire energy, but you got this, right? No other deck can do this. You are all in it. And that feels good. I think that definitely feels good. I like that a lot. I guess the problem then becomes like, why would I put this in my deck? You know, why would I put such an expensive card in my deck when it effectively takes up all my energy tank, like all my actions? So what's the big game changer here, right? I draw it, does it win me the game? No, but it should be powerful enough that it is worth all of your energy, or like half your energy tank, right? And it is a game changer, right? It tilts the scales in your favor, despite, you know, forcing you to effectively lose half your potential actions. It is well worth it, for it is one very powerful action. It is well worth it. We will have to design around this. We will have to design around this for sure. This will be core. This will be core. I mean, the other question then becomes, okay, well, what if I play like small guys, right? Well, what if I just play small guys? What's the point? I will never ever need my 5 fire dragon, right? Well, maybe. What I could offer you, right, is, you know, the nuke spell. Right? It's like, well, okay, for this one turn, if you pay, I don't know, like 9 earth, right? A disgusting amount of earth mana. All your slimes get plus 10 to attack and defense, and suddenly it's like, holy, okay, well, I need to go on earth, and there's like no reason why I shouldn't. If I'm playing small guys, I want that card, right? I want that card, or something like that. So, definitely big payoffs, right? But also, definitely high and hard in on the elemental restrictions as well. You want them to be restricted. Restrictions are good. Restrictions are good. I think we, we, do we have a good foundation again? I kind of went backwards a little bit, and then, yeah, it's like I took a few steps back, and then we're taking a couple steps forward again. I think this puts us at a better platform now. I like the more straightforward platform of grids, right? This makes a lot more sense here. And it looks more interactive, and I think that it will feel more interactive. It's also a lot more straightforward, in my opinion. And then we have our resources, our elements, our limitations, our card design that are more solidified. It's great. That's really good. I'm happy about that. And so now we can probably go forward with better card design now. And yeah, I'll remake the slimes again and all that. We can do that another day. This is looking really good though. I'm really happy about this direction here. I think this is good. I think this is really good. I like this a lot. What else was? Oh yeah, of course. You know, how are we gonna digitize this? How are we gonna digitize this, right? Because, oh my goodness, yeah, that was one of the things that we were planning on doing. We had the UI all set up there. I think we just have to make, some small changes to it, because we had the whole like, oh, if you move over here, you would select your screen, and then, well, you would select your layer and everything. Well, now you don't need that. All you have is 5x5 grid. If it's too small, we can just, yeah, if it doesn't fit, if the big grid doesn't fit on the screen, we can just kind of have a zoom in mode, and then you can just kind of pan around it. That works, right? And you can have a zoom out mode where it shows you the whole entire grid, but just with, colors, right? Like, oh, you have a card here, you have a card here, your opponent has a card here. You get the full bird's eye picture. You want to zoom in, you can draw that out, and you can walk around the grid. That honestly works a lot. That is a lot more straightforward. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Let's go with that. Let's go with that. Yeah. Oh my god. Oh, this is so silly. You won't believe what I just realized. We could actually program this now using RPG Maker, because we could have done that from the get-go. Forget what I said. We can do a lot of things in RPG Maker. I just realized that it would be super funny and super easy to actually do in RPG Maker. A little bit too funny, actually. Sorry, a little bit too funny. Think about it that way. Oh man, this is good though. I'm really liking it. Alright, I think that will be, yes, that will be all for today. That will be all for today. I've been your host tonight, and wherever you are, have a good rest of your day. As an addendum, I lied. Never mind. There is no addendum. I was gonna make a little silly plan, but nah, yeah. I'll smell you later, everyone. Good night.